All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the HR Committee meeting for Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. I'll call to order. Is there any declarations of conflict of interest? Hearing none. We have an approval of the agenda. Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor McCabe. The adoption of the minutes. We have our HR Committee, July 2nd, 2024. Do we have the adoption of the minutes?
Sure.
Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor McCabe. We do have one discussion or report for today's meeting, and it is the rumination bylaws, Schedule A, benefits and severance. So Emily, the reason we have this on here today is, we recently approved the bylaw a couple of weeks ago or a month or more ago, or 2 months ago. And it was noticed in there under the benefits and severance section. I don't know exactly what number, but we'll scroll down to it.
It's in Schedule A.
Schedule A, page 10. Yep, benefits and severance section on page 10. So I think that although we did have discussion regarding the change in this area at the committee level several months ago, and then it went to council for approval. Not sure everybody fully understood what this area meant or the change that was taking place. So I was asked to bring it back here today to discuss the change and just get a better understanding of, from the previous method, of how the benefits and severance were being applied to the mayor and council versus what the change was and maybe what drove that change, and if we could kind of revisit. I guess I know you might say that we've already had the discussion, and just try to get a little more context to see if it's something we need to revisit again, or maybe if everybody better understood what it really means, it may be a moot point and we can move forward. So I'll hand it over to you if you could talk a little bit about that section, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess a bit of history on this. The previous version prior to the one that was just amended, councillors always did receive an RRSP contribution. Back in, I believe it was 2019 or 2020, we had a councillor who reached the maximum age in which you're eligible to contribute to an RRSP, which is 71 years of age. So at that time, it was decided that in order to keep contributing to savings for this member, the city would go in the direction of offering a tax-free savings account to that individual only. Then I believe the following year, the bylaw was amended again, at which time we included the tax-free savings account piece, but it wasn't worded appropriately. The language was supposed to state members of council would receive an RRSP contribution until at which point they reach the maximum age in which they're eligible to contribute, and then they would receive a contribution to their tax-free savings account. It wasn't worded in that way, and it kind of got lost in translation, and then all members of council, or some, chose to move to a tax-free savings account, which wasn't the intent behind this. It was meant to be, a mechanism to still be able to contribute to those who reached that maximum age in which they're eligible to contribute to the RRSP savings, because the intent is to assist council in saving for retirement, which is that RRSP vehicle.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Councillor Ramsey.
Thank you for that, Emily. And I recall this, and I'm 69 right now. By the time my term is done, this next term, I'll be 72. So is there still going to be a contribution put in there? You said one time you did it for 71, and I remember the councillor who was there. And let's say that a person runs after. Is there a certain age cutoff, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Go ahead.
So yes, you would continue to contribute to that RSP until you reach that maximum age, which is age 71, and then you would be eligible to contribute to the tax-free savings account at that time, because we want to continue to save for retirement was the intent. But if you do reach that maximum age, we will contribute to your tax-free savings account for you. The difference is with a tax-free savings account, you can take out of that account at any time without any tax implications, where an RRSP, the intent is truly to save for retirement, and if you do take out of it, you are taxed. So that's kind of that difference as to why we wanted to contribute to the RSP, not the tax-free savings account.
Thank you, Councillor McCready.
And I see that, and I see all that point, and I'm totally okay with that. What I wonder though, where we are enrolled in the City of Charlottetown's group registration, registered retirement savings plan. At one point, we were able to have our own, that it was filtered through wherever I was already dealing or had my stuff. Is that something that has a little bit of flexibility if we were to go back and look at this again? For me, I can hardly remember where I already have my own stuff. So to have another place that I have to try to remember as I get older might be problematic for me.
I mean, I think the adjustment to the group plan was to make it administratively more feasible for us to administer the plan, and it wouldn't be up to you to remember that upon, you finish your term. We would connect with you, we would set up that meeting with the bank. It is driven through HR. It wouldn't be up to you to remember that you had something sitting somewhere. And it's a way for all of those funds to be pooled together, and then they're earning more interest as they're sitting in that account. And then we would, when you resign from your position, you'd have access to that.
I definitely think, Chair, that we have to explain this, because I know other councillors were still thinking that these checks were going into their own already established and set up RSP. If they're, I think it might warrant some discussion, just knowing the conversations. And I appreciate the administrative thing, but for some people who like to have things done their way, if it's...
Yeah, I think we need to look at it so one of the proposals might be is we as council might suggest to put it back to status quo. And because that's working for everybody or the majority or whatever the case may be. So then the question then becomes, is that fine? It just becomes administratively taxing on you and your staff to do that, and has been for whatever period of time that's been done. So we need to understand that if that's the only driving factor of going back to status quo would be from the administrative side, or is there other benefits or for both the employer and employee in doing this method? I think that's what we need to understand. So I think we need to go back to understanding these things. I don't think it's even overly clear. And again, going back to, we all had this in front of us, but probably not asking the right questions at the time, maybe as a whole group. The difference even between the groups and going into one, there's verbiage around here that says that if you do not, qualify for the RSP, then you can go to a tax-free savings account. So not even sure if you're not eligible for that. I don't know if that means in
That means you've
Councillor
reached the
Ramsey's
age
case or
71.
something like
Yeah.
that. So
Or if you have no space in your RSP window.
Yeah.
Some people that have money.
So not sure all those things everybody thought about. And again, that was a good point there about your RSP contribution space for that reason. And then for those who prefer to just do a straight tax-free savings account, even if it was because it seems as if here the contribution is going to be into the city's group plan, unless you don't have room or you meet the age thing, then it can go into a tax-free savings versus one or the other, if you wanted to choose that. Still, yeah, still, and then also still a city plan, not individual. So again, I think it's worth the conversation. I don't know where and how we have the conversation, other than can that information be put out to council in the way of an email that explains, here's what we did, why we did it, here's what the options are, and is it the will of council then to decide which one they want to do. Again, I don't have consensus from all of council on this matter. I have some that have come forward, myself included, for full transparency. So it would be nice I'm not sitting here speaking and representing this particular clause on behalf of everybody. So we need to understand what everybody's thoughts on that are.
could an email go out and then just maybe if there's a will for further discussion to let us know and we'll again revisit, or is that?
Yeah, and if there's specific questions, like that may give me an opportunity to be able to research that information so I can present better information to you.
Yeah, so if we can get, yeah, if there is specific, I mean, maybe at the end of the day, it's all the same, 6 one, half dozen the other. I don't know how that all plays out for some. You know, looking at Councillor Ramsey's example right there, he may want to understand that better and what that really going to mean for him, even as he goes, if he decides another term that he may be successful, what does that look like for him and going into past his 70? And, okay, so the takeaway, I guess, from here would be to formulate some information around, you know, use some context from the start, how we kind of got to that new method, where that came from, what the change is, what are options of staying status quo, going back to where we were, and the I guess the pros and cons of each of these things that are for, and maybe it's individually, I don't know.
Which they can touch, which they can reach out and touch base with you, I think, Emily, isn't it? Each person, or should we all get together and hash it out, like,
No, I think we're going to have Emily send out some information on,
okay,
like from an employer to an employee aspect on this. And we will have an opportunity to ask questions back in there.
Okay.
Collectively, we should be able to see what that looks like. And then I think we can make a decision or some direction after that. Again, it may be after some clarity, everybody understands and says, okay, this is what it is and this is what we're going to do. Didn't realize that was officially what it meant. Or if it has impacts on people that they're not, that they'd like to discuss further, we'll discuss it further.
is this this is the one that goes in every so often into a certain account? Like, I'm a little confused.
Your monthly contribution.
Yeah, your monthly one,
monthly.
right. And then this has nothing to do with your severance when you're all done, because we're only looked after elected official 24 weeks once you're all done? Is it 2 weeks for every year, Eleanor? Do you-
26.
26 weeks. Okay, so that's separate altogether again.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Emily, can I ask a question? So my understanding is up until the end of June, the whole process is stopped. July, August onward would be into the new format. Has that occurred at this point? And if so, and if not, I guess we're trying to have a discussion here as where we go. We don't want to start down a path and then have to reverse that path. So
It has started. So if, you know, you mentioned going with the status quo, I think something to note, the intent wasn't the status quo. It was worded incorrectly in the previously approved amended bylaw. I just wanted to note it was always an RSP until we did have a member reach that maximum age. So I think we're just trying to correct something that was never meant or intended to happen.
So how come there's only that one person then that didn't have it? Why, how did it get to everybody then having the option?
Because we actually updated the language to represent that one individual. And when it was updated, it wasn't updated, you know, I guess the wording wasn't appropriate. And it led to other people enrolling or switching to a tax-free savings account. And with the turnover in leadership, that wasn't flagged until it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, again, I think it just, you know, I'm just bringing it forward as requested.
Yep.
And I think we need to understand it a bit better, and then we will determine if there's, what the direction is on it.
Yep.
And go from there. Did anybody else have any question on it? CAO, did you have anything? Good. Okay. Well, thank you, Emily, for that. I appreciate the explanation, appreciate the context, and if you could pull some further information together for all mayor and council, we will continue the discussion that way. Okay, just going back to my top here. Moving on, do we have any business arising from the minutes? I probably should have been up a little bit further, I think, but, no business arising from the minutes, we do? Councilman?
Just maybe we need to remember to put a reminder out for, oops, the evaluation for CAO. I wonder how that's coming along.
Yes, the CAO evaluation is underway, and happy to see that come to fruition, and hopefully other participants are taking part, and I think there will be a number of reminders, upwards to 3 reminders for the participant list to participate in that. So thank you, Councilor McCabe. And I think there's already been one out already, so looking good. Okay, thank you. Introduction of new business. Any new business? Don't think so at this point. Okay, well, having said that, we'll call for an adjournment. Councilor McCabe, Councilor Ramsey, thank you very much. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Jennifer.